up, YouTube? Here with a post-fight aftermath results review video for the Saul Canelo Alvarez, Billy Joe Saunders super middleweight title unification bout, which took place last night in front of a record-breaking crowd at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Now there was 73,126 people in attendance. That is a all-time U.S. record for the most fans in attendance for a fight event in a arena. Now, even during a midst of a pandemic, there was a record-breaking event taking place. Now, that's only showing that we're on the rise, and it's a good sign. Things are getting back to regular. Things are getting back to normal once again. And yeah, Texas is a state where everything is 100% open, and it's such a rejuvenating, refreshing feeling to see so many people in attendance, with a lot of them not even wearing a mask and shit like that. It just felt like the pandemic is no more, and yeah, things are at least on a upwards trend in America. Even last week, y'all saw the Andy Ruiz Chris Arreola fight, which took place in Carson, California. And California is another state where things are starting to open back up once again. And it's just great to see, even you talk about the UFC, you see the Masvidal Usman fight that took place in Florida. That was another event where it had a crowd full of people, and it's good to see things like that, and things opening back up, and things getting back to normal and regular once again. I'm loving it. Um, and yeah, so with that being said, salute and shout out to everybody that was involved in making this event happen, and big ups to the people though. Anyways, now let's get into the insight, the details of this fight. The result is that Saul Canelo Alvarez was able to secure a eighth round TKO stoppage victory over Billy Joe Saunders, as Billy Joe Saunders did not make it out of his corner to start and continue on with the fight. Yeah, he couldn't come out. He couldn't make it out for the ninth round. I think it was the doctors that told his corner, like, yeah, he can't continue, and they waved it off. And in the eighth round, Saul Canelo Alvarez landed this one uppercut. That one shot did it. It landed right on the eye, and I believe that broke Billy Joe Saunders' orbital bone, or it was a eye injury that forced the stoppage of the fight, and he couldn't even give out a post-fight interview. I don't know if he made it back for the post-fight press conference to give further details on why he couldn't continue with the specific details and all that. As y'all know, for those of y'all who've seen the fight already, Billy Joe had to check in to the hospital ASAP, immediately right after the fight. As Billy Joe, he wasn't he wasn't right. That eye was just getting worse and worse. It was just like a chemical reaction damn near. Like, it just the injury started to build and build, I guess, as time went on. But Billy Joe, man, he should not be ashamed of his performance. No fighter should be ashamed of their performance. But he definitely gets to hold his head high and chin up high, due to the fact that he he made it a competitive fight. Nonetheless, he had his moments in the fight, especially during the middle of the fight. I personally, at this fight, scored a draw leading into the ninth round. Billy Joe was able to frustrate Canelo. He was able to make Canelo miss some shots, and he had his moments as well in the fight. And he was also actually landing some pretty good shots during the fight as well, especially in the middle rounds. And he was utilizing the big ring, which there was so much controversy about during the lead up to the fight, in the fight week as well. As y'all know, if y'all been keeping up and following the fight, there was this whole controversy about this disagreement that both parties were having over the size of the ring. But Billy Joe and his camp got what they wanted. They fought in a 22-foot ring, which is like the biggest ring I believe both competitors have ever competed in. And Billy Joe was utilizing the space very well as well. I had the first round. Even in the beginning of the fight, Billy Joe was doing a good job at you know keeping up with his movements and being fluid in there. And yeah, like I said, if I had it a draw leading up to the ninth round, could have went either ways. Uh, Depending on how the fight could have went. But if y'all saw in the eighth round, that's when Canelo was, really catching some steam as he was able to, get his momentum, and that's when the fight started to swing on his side of the favor. He was really bringing the pressure and the action to Billy Joe in the eighth round. That onslaught is what caused that stoppage in the eighth round, going on to the ninth round. As Canelo, man, he was able to really read Billy Joe Saunders. As y'all know, Canelo is a slow, methodical starter. His game is just improved and is improving. And yeah, he's really a mastermind when it comes to boxing. This guy don't got, no boxing, no life tatted for no reason. This guy's really, all about the sport. And just the psychology behind Canelo's mind when it comes to the ring is amazing. And not to sound like such a fanboy or nothing like that, but it's a beautiful thing to see a technician like him go to work. And in the eighth round, that's when he was able to kind of break Billy Joe down, as he was able to read his styles from the earlier rounds. And okay, Billy Joe, when Canelo throws a shot, he likes to duck and slip away from his punches, and he noticed that. That's why he feints and he would set up his punches. He noticed that Billy Joe, anytime Canelo throws something, he ducks and slips and likes a counter. And Canelo was able to read that. He feints, and then when Billy Joe would duck low, that's when he would keep throwing those uppercuts. And y'all saw in the eighth round, one of them uppercuts was that detrimental shot that that called a stoppage for the fight. That caused the whole TKO for Canelo. And yeah, as far as future opponents for both fighters go, Canelo, he's the cash cow. He's the top dog when it comes to the sport of boxing. Pound for pound, number one, without a doubt. Right now, it's either him or Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. That's the top three when it comes to the sport of boxing. When it comes to pound for pound rankings, for me personally, I think it should be like that for anybody's P for P ranking. And Tyson Fury, that's the top four right there. Tyson Fury, Saul Canelo Alvarez, Errol Spence Jr., and Terrence Crawford. Now, but Canelo's had the longest streak, the most relevant longevity when it comes to the sport of boxing, when it comes to current active fighters, and he just been fighting, I would say, the top tier competition when out of all the pound for pound kings in the sport. Now I know there's a lot of talks about he hasn't fought the best competition. He hasn't fought Demetrius Andrade. I'm gonna get into that in a little bit in this video. And then he ain't fight Charlo, even though Canelo's not a middleweight anymore. He ain't fight who else? When he went up to 175, he fought a at a prime, old Sergey Kovalev. He should have fought Bivol or Beterbiev. And yeah, it just when you're the pound for pound number one fighter in the world, it's always gonna be negative talk and criticism when it comes to the fans, aka the critics. You get what I'm saying? It happened with Floyd Mayweather. It happened with Manny Pacquiao. It happened with Mike Tyson. It happened with Lennox Lewis. It happened with all the pound for pound kings in the sport. So that comes with being the top dog of the sport. But you see Canelo. There's one title missing for him to unify that division, that super middleweight weight class. Uh, That's that IBF belt that Caleb Plant holds, and I have high hopes for this fight. Even though Caleb Plant is with PBC and Al Heyman, I seen PBC post on their social media that oh, is Caleb Plant next? They're kind of advertising and kind of teasing Caleb Plant to be the next opponent for Saul Canelo Alvarez, and rightfully so because um, you know everybody who's a real live boxing fan wants to see a unification, who wants to see who's the man when it comes to a specific weight class. There's so many sanctioning organizations when it comes to the sport of boxing. It's not like the UFC. It's not like Bellator. You don't just have one champion in one weight class, but all pure fight fans want to see who's the champion at a specific weight class. And to make that happen, you gotta have Canelo get in there with Caleb Plant. And a lot of people have their rightful doubts for this fight happening because Al Heyman and PBC, they make it kind of hard. They're in their own type of they're in their own planet when it comes to the sport of boxing. They like to like most promoters, but specifically PBC, they like to make fights happen amongst their banner only. And with that being said, I could see why people can have their doubts. That's why we're not seeing a title unification bout at the welterweight division, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. But hopefully, when it comes to September, Mexican Independence Day, Saul Canelo Alvarez gets in there with Caleb Plant. Stylistically, it's such an intriguing match because Caleb Plant's a highly skilled boxer as well. I want to see that 168 super middleweight title unification bout with Canelo and Caleb Plant. If not, like I said, the hardcore boxing fan amongst the pure, quote unquote, pure boxing fans, it's always been a big talk that Canelo has been ducking Demetrius Andrade from the days he was fighting at 160. That being said, y'all saw in the post-fight press conference, Saul Canelo Alvarez had that kind of intense face-off with Demetrius Andrade. Andrade said, "Oh, when you gonna fight me?" And Canelo said, "You haven't fought nobody." Demetrius Andrade, anytime, I wouldn't say anytime, but he hasn't fought the best quality opponents available for him. He's fought, he was supposed to fight um, Billy Joe, but Billy Joe had tested positive for performance enhancement drugs, and unfortunately, that fight did not take place. I'd like to see that fight happen. Once again, maybe if Andrade beats a top quality opponent like Billy Joe, because Billy Joe is still one of the top dogs when it comes to super middleweight, make that fight happen. And then if Andrade gets a name like Billy Joe under his belt, now he's up there to be a legit contender to face Canelo in the ring in the potential future. Now, I could see, Canelo maybe stepping up to 175. Once again, if, the Caleb Plant fight doesn't come through, then, who else other than Better BF? That's a dream matchup. You got, two different styles in the ring. Makes for an exciting fight. Like to see that, and Better BF is one of the, top pound for pound fighters as well, at least in my eyes. Or, Bivol is another top quality opponent that he could face at the light heavyweight division. And yeah, I'm not. I don't really think it's gonna be Better BF against Canelo because I heard Better BF is rumored to fight Joe Smith Jr. in a light heavyweight title unification bout, and that's another healthy fight for the sport. And yeah, man, I'm loving the sport of boxing and how it's been for 2021 this year. And yeah, the sky's the limit for Canelo. Who y'all want to see Canelo fight next? What was y'all opinions on the fight? Let me know in the comment section. Subscribe if y'all want. Share this video if y'all want. And y'all stay safe, stay healthy. Take care. Peace, y'all.